Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Dr. Chris Omni, founder of the Omni Institute, and I am grateful to have each and every one of you here today. It will be a very interactive conversation. It might even be a very emotional conversation at times, and I invite you to grab some tissue. I want you to allow all the emotions to arrive in your body as they will. If that requires you to walk away, if it requires you to blow that nasty, snotty, that real hard one into the camera, I'm okay with that too. But we're going to start with breath work. So I invite you to close your eyes, be present with your body, be present with your mind. Turn off the to-do list and simply be present. I want you to take this deep breath in through your nose. Let your chest rise. Let your spine elongate. Your shoulders drop back and your chin lift ever so slightly. Then exhale and feel the weight of the world just melt, releasing doubt, worry, and any fear. We're going to do this 2 more times. Collectively, let's inhale. Collectively, let's exhale. And before we do this last breath work, we're going to hold space for those who were not able to breathe, those who could not or did not see 2025. I started breath work in 2016 because I watched my mama take her last breath. And I want to honor her in this moment and anybody else that you choose to honor in your life. Together we breathe in. And out. Thank you very much. All right, so we are blessed with 3 people on the line today. You don't have to hear from me the entire time. I will serve as your moderator, but I want to give you a basic why into this work. Hopefully you had a chance to watch the short video, which is about 7 minutes long, for Sitting with Trees. I turned 50 on December 14th, 2024. And as a researcher, it's always about the and the search, to look again. So I wanted to look again about this concept of aging. When I got my AARP card invitation, I'm like, it's time. I'm gonna go ahead and sign up, get my AARP discounts. But I want to talk to my sisters, my aunties, other Black women who are 60 plus. I want to see what life is like 10 years in the future. And then also, I want to be able to share this wisdom back to the 20-somethings so that they can see what life looks like when you pursue a path of optimal aging, of how we can provide a counter narrative to what they normally show on TV of bent over, sitting in a chair somewhere, not very active. I want the 20-somethings to see the 60s and 70s in action. So I'm going to turn it over to, my phone just dropped, perfect timing. I'm gonna turn it over to Dr. Janet. And Dr. Janet, please tell us your name, your age, and a fun fact.
I am Dr. Janet Haynes. I am 70 years old as of January 16th this year. And a fun fact is that I am really finally in love for the first time ever at this age.
All right. I see Rachel giving you some heart emojis. We speak emoji here. So you can throw some emojis. You could throw some words in the chat. All right. So 70, y'all see what 70 looks like? You see this glow? Give her some snaps, some love, some something. Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Now I'm going to turn it over to Miss Gloria. Your name, your age, and the fun fact.
I am Gloria Lambert. I am 64. I'll be 65 in September. I have an identical twin sister.
Mm. Yes. So give that up. Look, ooh, and the dimples. She coming through with serving it up today. Yes. And I told you before I got started that we were going to go up to the 60 plus, and we're also going to go back to the younger generation. We have the lovely Eryn Files here, and she is our research mentee, soon to graduate and promote into the space of research intern.
Yay.
Tell us your name, your age, and a fun fact.
Alrighty, well, hello everyone. My name is Eryn Files. I am 18 and I am also someone who can speak Spanish and French.
Spanish and French. Come on now. Yes, yes. Thank you so very much. See, you get horns and claps. Thank you so much for that. What we're going to do now is a little interactive space. I want everybody here, including the panelists, to think about somebody who is 60 plus and type in the chat a lesson that they shared with you. Just brief. It could be a quote. It could be funny. It could be inappropriate. Open space. All that right here. So I want to see what our elders are telling us. Trust yourself more and worry less.
Good.
That's a t-shirt. That I need to laugh more. Health is wealth. One full basket. Manage life's little things as they come. Health is wealth. I feel you on that. Hold on to your dreams no matter how old you get. Don't forget to smile. Facts. Let's stop right there. 100-year-old. Yes. Grandma has taught me to go ahead and eat that chocolate. Grandma, you ain't never lied on that. Yes, I like the loves. I like the interact with everybody. Give them some emoji love. Yes. So since we only have 50 minutes, I want to make sure that you have a chance to hear from our panelists. And this is never planned. I rarely use notes, but somebody in the chat said health is wealth. My mom was a survivor of cancer for 26 years, and she fought 4 different battles of cancer. And during that last battle, I wanted to ask her, tell me something, Mama. Share a story. What did you want to do when you were younger? She went through some different roles, but then she ended her story by saying, all I've ever wanted was H and H. And H stood for health and happiness. So we are about to present you a space of health and happiness as a reader's theater. And if you've never been to a reader's theater before, you're in for a treat. And Dr. Janet and Miss Gloria, these are your words given back to you in a reader's theater format. And for everybody who is bearing witness, I would like for you to listen to the key scenes. There are 5 scenes, and then we will open it up for questions after we get the response from Dr. Janet and Gloria. Sitting with Trees is an ethnographic study that explores nature's influence on the emotional well-being of Black women in their 60s. Through the methods of walking, journal writing, photography, and photoelicitation interviewing, we aim to situate nature as a site of teaching, learning, and well-being. This reader's theater features direct quotes from the pilot study participants who you've already met earlier. Let's begin. Scene 1, strength and joy. What does Black joy mean to you?
Black joy means it means strength. It means happiness in today and not thinking backwards, but thinking forward. Mm. Well, to me, Black joy means the best to me. It's the best of life. It supplants the deficit narrative of Black. It is a huge framing piece for me, and I appreciate being able to reframe and to be able to find the joy, even in the sorrow, and see the ancestral strength and just feel all of that. Black joy is life to me. The typical narrative, marginalization means Black, it means deficit. Now I can see my marginalization as strength. It forced me to develop new pathways, new ways of knowing and being and interacting with the world. It builds an inner strength. It reinforces connections, the ancestral connection. I think about what they went through and what I'm going through now. It's like, that's nothing.
Scene 2, parents' role in nature experiences.
Speaking of ancestors, one of my early memories is camping with my parents, travel trailers, fishing, running up and down the banks, being outdoors and by the water, just the sounds of the water, the reflections of the water, and fishing with my dad. I love my daddy too. My dad sort of instilled a value system that's rooted in indigenous principles without actually having to sit down and have a conversation saying, this is what I'm doing. He sort of taught us that even at a young age, that we are all related, the plants, the animals, the trees. I so agree. For me, it also brings back the childhood of being outdoors again. Like the last time I was in nature, I heard the birds chirping, I heard the squirrels running up and down the trees. That made me think about us as kids, playing around, chasing each other.
Scene 3, learning new ways to heal through nature.
It's interesting how being a part of this research really makes you think about being in nature. Nature really is a place to go out and discover and unveil feelings and things mm, that I just haven't done before. Not in probably an academic way, but also in an emotional way. Mm. So it's never too late for somebody to say, well, let me see what this nature thing is all about. I couldn't wrap my head around it at first, but when I started to replay moments in time, particularly when I lived in Alaska, I would go to the park and walk around the trees whenever, I just felt grieved or something was problematic, and how soothing that space felt to me.
Scene 4, resilience.
You know what, Dr. J? Your story about the tree made me think about a tree I saw on my walk. I immediately honed in on a tree that was grown down and almost on the ground. Hmm. And
Thank
for
you.
me, that was when you're bent, but not broken. You still continue to grow. Yes, I love trees. I actually captured a photo of weeds around a tree. I felt that was a metaphor for my life at one point. It was not a very good picture, and it looks like weeds, but it reminds me of my whole life. Scattered, defocused, and challenged to find logic and meaning, or just make it make sense.
Scene 5, strong Black women having strength and leaving strong roots.
When I think of my tree and the weeds around your tree, I can't help but think about my kids and how I have left strong roots from my branches, knowing that I've been a representation of a strong Black woman for them. And for them to take that and receive it, it has flaws and it's not perfect. I think that sums it up right there, Miss Gloria. Being the strong Black woman sure has flaws, and we certainly are not perfect. You can't help anybody else if you're underwater drowning. So we need to get in and live our best lives so that we may empower and strengthen our families, our communities, our friends, and the people we love.
Thank you for participating in Sitting with Trees Readers Theater. Let's clap it up for Eryn.
Yeah.
Now we want to hear from the people who you just heard from. So Dr. Janet, can you tell us what was it like to hear your words echoed back to you?
Well, first of all, I'm still resonating with the fact that Eryn once lived in Alaska because I lived there too for 30 years. And Lake Hood was my favorite go to tree spot during that time. And that was also sort of the middle-aged cusp for me where I had relationships, careers, blah blah blah, health issues. It was like the perfect storm in life. And I really resonated with your comments regarding Alaska because it's such an open space. There's really truly nothing there. There's no road system, one road in and out, and then you drive it. You take a chance you'll never be seen or heard from again. And the flights are certainly there, but that's only if a volcano doesn't go off. So it was fraught with the circumstance and opportunity. So I appreciated hearing your comments about your time there, and certainly it took me back to my time there, and it was particularly poignant because at one point I recall telling people, I don't care if outdoors even exist. And then I went back as part of this research, sitting with trees and reading some of the textbook contributions I had made and some other writing I'd done. And in every piece, there was a reference to my being outdoors and using that as a calming, centering space. And I think it's the reason why, and Dr. Chris and I talked about this earlier today. I do have lines and wrinkles at 70, part of aging. I'm not going to Botox. I hate needles. I don't like doctors all that well either, unless I'm really, really sick. And they always know more than I do. So I'm good with that. But no, none of that other stuff. But we were talking about lines on the face, and the lines began to look like tablet paper, and it just all resonated for me that maybe that's why I don't have as many lines, and there's a sense of feeling developmentally strong even as I see my body signs of aging, the arthritis, the more Tylenol than usual, that whole thing. But it's nothing detrimental or crippling. And the best part about it is that nothing steals my joy.
Mm.
That grounding in nature is just like, hey, I'm good. I am so good, no matter what. I'm happy to wake up and see the sunshine every day. I look for a reason to go outside and just pitter around and do nothing just because I'm outside. So
Nice.
yeah, it was rewarding, reassuring, and reinforcement at the same time. Thank
Mm,
you.
thank you very much. And as a segue, before we go to Miss Gloria, I want everybody to understand that a reader's theater is another form, is an arts-based research form of data dissemination. I strongly believe that most people are not going to go to an academic journal and read our findings and follow transcripts. They'll listen to a podcast, they'll listen to music. One of the reasons why I asked you what your favorite song was. And they'll also engage in some type of theatrical performance. They'll go to a play. And what Eryn just read to you were the actual transcripts from the Sitting with Trees interview. So those were Dr. Janet's actual words. And we added just a little to be able to transition into Gloria's words to make it seem like it's a seamless flow. And I say we, and the we is actually a person who is not here today. And I want to be able to hold space for her and send collective love, light, and energy. And her name is Gemini Williamson. Gemini took the lead on the Reader's Theater and went through, 2 hours of interviews and all the transcript pages to identify key themes. That's why each scene had its own title. She did that. She's a research mentee who, just like Eryn, will be promoted to be a research intern next year. But the reason why she's not here is because just this week, she received word that her uncle had passed away.
Mhm.
And if you remember at the beginning, I asked that we engage in breath work. And also for those who did not see 2025, there's some people who will not see next week. So quickly, before we go into Miss Gloria, let's breathe for Gemini and her family, sending them love, light, energy, support, hugs, and just being able to hold them and send love. Collectively, we inhale. Collectively, we exhale. Thank you for that. Now, to switch gears, Miss Gloria, what was it like to hear your words echoed back to you?
It was the way Miss Eryn said it that meant so much, because hearing it back, it made me feel like, okay, this was a time when I opened up. When I was able to, when I hear it back, it's different than when I said it. And getting it back is a time where going through the Omni process changed me spiritually, mentally, emotionally, getting outdoors, healing through what you know that I went through with losing my mom in 22 and not really having I don't know, I didn't fully get through it to where, I felt like I was completely healed from that. So hearing those words from her, it really gave me a lot of feelings of openness. I opened up at that time and I could hear it the way that she stated it.
Thank you. In your words, I'm hearing transparency. I'm hearing that vulnerability.
Yes.
And so
Yes.
Eryn was able to give that back to you.
She was. Yes.
I love that. Thank you. I want to go to the audience before I flip over to Eryn. What resonated with you from anything that you heard in those 5 scenes? And in case you can't remember, scene 1 was, what does Black joy mean to you? Scene 2, parents' role in nature experience. Scene 3, learning new ways to heal through nature. Scene 4, resilience. And scene 5, strong Black women having strength and leaving strong roots. Is there a particular scene that resonated with you and you may have a question for Dr. Janet or Miss Gloria? Scene 2, parents in nature. Margaret, if you feel comfortable, can you come off of mute and share a story? A brief story.
Yeah. The story of playing along the riverbank and camping with particularly the father, the figure of the father who enables this bonding with Mother Nature to happen. And it's something that I came to realize as well as I was writing a book that's supposed to come out this year, but that I at one point in my writing, I said, you know, if nature is female, then it's actually my father who taught me to love her.
Mm, that's so beautiful. And as you were talking, I'm like, wow, I can see that connection. Oh, thank you very much for coming off of mute and sharing your story. And you got a love emoji. Yes. All right. Sarah, and there was somebody before Sarah. The Zoom was going kind of fast. If you don't mind coming off of mute and share a short story,
Yeah,
because scene 2 seems to hit with everybody.
scene 2. Yeah, that was really powerful. It really reminded me of my father, and he really made it a priority for us to, as a family, go out on evening walks together. And that's something, he died when I was in my mid teens. It's something that after some recovery, my mother, my brother, and I kept going. And it's something that we each do with our kids, or when we're as a family, visiting as a family, we do together.
Mm.
It's a real legacy thing. And I walked with my grandpa. I know that my dad walked with his father. So I think that it's a real.
You cut off at the end, but thank you for bringing in that memorial piece, and that you continued in that space and channeled him as you were walking. Thank you so very much for inviting us into that story. Nikki, I see your hand up.
Yeah, thank you. Scene 2 was important, but also how it connects to scene 5. Because the experiences of picnics and running barefoot and catching fireflies and all of those things have stayed with me, even though my father died when I was in my 20s, but still fairly young, right? And I feel that the experiences I have done with my children and all of the time we spend outside and still continue to spend outside will be there with them when I'm no longer here. So when I'm no longer here, they still have nature. They still have those other relatives out in nature.
And I'm the researcher hat is really going on right now, because everybody's connecting to the scene 2 and their parents' role and their engagement with nature now. And I love how you're like, when I'm gone, nature will always be there. Thank you very much for coming off of mute and sharing your story with us. I do see you, Sarah. I want to get to Eryn, and I promise to come right back to you. Thank you. So Eryn, you received a lot of love for that Reader's Theater reenactment. What was it like for you to play those characters?
I think it was really enlightening overall. I think the challenge to really get to know both of them and to try to embody both of their personalities really forced me to think about the words more. And from Miss Gloria, I feel like my personality does reflect hers a little bit more. I tend to be a little bit more reserved, and just internalizing things, and it's hard for me to be open and vulnerable. So to have someone who is older than me really taking the time to think about their life experiences and the way that they impact their family and their children, it gives me a lot of hope about the future and knowing that I am making an impact on other people. And then for Miss Dr. Janet, it was really empowering just to see how openly blunt you are about the stereotypes and like rejecting them completely. I love that. And I really want to embrace that boldness as I keep going, especially getting into careers where those stereotypes become more limiting. I want to embrace that balance between being myself and then also acknowledging my mistakes and being open and comfortable with myself.
Thank you. Thank you so very much. And I also feel that even though we're passing wisdom back, that we can learn something from you. Can you tell
Exactly.
us, can you tell us anything about your experiences in nature?
I can. I also started out with my parents. My mom is from the Caribbean, St. Kitts, so I would always hear stories about her growing up on the beach, and we would also go on family walks in the summer times and after schools. And then my dad is from South America, so not sorry, the south of the United States, so Alabama, and he would often grow up around plantations with his grandparents and cousins. And so we would spend a lot of time whenever we visited our grandparents out as well in their gardens and just hanging out and laughing as a family. So today I do see nature as a place of grounding. I am an academic student, so I'm always going and putting extra deadlines and responsibilities on myself. So just taking time to sometimes take the work outside. I'll just work in the open field that we'll have on our campus, and I see that not only does it let me be more productive by having this peaceful environment around me where I can work to my fullest extent, I also see that it opens doors to connecting with other people because nature is just a space where people of all backgrounds are drawn to it. And being surrounded with others, you feel naturally wanting to connect with them. So it's created a lot of opportunities for me.
Thank you for dropping some gems into all of our spirits.
Yes.
Sarah, I'm gonna come to you, but I do want to acknowledge Ella's comment, and then I believe somebody else had a comment about why is nature referred to as the feminine? Personal choice. That's all it is.
Mhm.
I honor any description, and as a matter of fact, couldn't make this up if I tried. In my dissertation, Black Joy in Green Spaces is the main title. So I alternate between Mother Earth, Mother Nature, green spaces, and I go back to mother because my mama transitioned. Nature is, mama's never going to be replaced, but nature is that healing space as my mother was a healer for me. So that's just personal. And Sarah, the floor is yours.
So that's beautiful. My heart was racing when you mentioned no one is going to read, oh, maybe a few scholars are going to read your dissertation, but if you want to pass the information on, you have to do it in ways that people read. And I love that. That sent my blood moving because that's my desire. I also just I defended my dissertation in December, and so thinking
Congratulations,
about, thank you.
Dr. Sarah.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm thinking about how to get the information out there. And that said, the scene two, just thinking about how to encapsulate the research in scenes was very intriguing. And for me, scene two did a reverse from, especially when Eryn was reading about Janet's experiences in Alaska, going fishing and things like that. I thought about my own experiences with nature, and they were, let me see, I don't know whether it was utilitarian, but not much. There was play when I was younger, but the memory that came to my mind very quickly was how we interacted with nature as the provider. So the things that we did with our mother, I think I grew up in Uganda, and we spent a lot of time in the gardens when we were not in school, in boarding school. And so what we did, we would wake up in the morning at 7 a.m. and would carry water, snacks, and go and camp in the garden. We'll make a place under the tree until maybe about 12 when we come back home. So that's what came to, but then there was a little bit of a regret in me thinking about, we didn't play with nature. We really worked. It's the place where we were it's a different environment, not being able to enjoy nature for the sake of enjoying, but because we had to earn, a food for the day or things like that. So anyway, just
Thank you so very much. And I'm being transported to, let me see. Can't pull can I pull the book out quickly? Oh, maybe at the end I'll be able to pull this book out, but it was the Tree Belt Movement. And I can't remember her name. Starts with a W, and I thought I had it sitting right here, but
Ungari Mafai.
thank you. Thank you. Wherever that came from, please put that in the chat. But it reminded me of her story of working the land and then not having enough time to play with the land, but also understanding the value that it has in bringing communities together. So I appreciate the vulnerability that you shared in terms of that little regret that you had, because it gives us a chance to move forward in that space. There's a lot of good information going on in the chat. It's hard to be the moderator and manage the chat at the same time, but feel free to add your comments and then hopefully we'll have a chance to address them later. I want to go back to Dr. Janet. Dr. Janet, we love your energy.
Me too. It's fun.
We love your energy. I would
Thank
like
you.
to know, and this also will go back to Miss Gloria, take yourself back to the pilot study. What was something that you are still doing now? And for everybody to know, the pilot study happened in September, and here we are in March. Is there a particular technique that you did that you're still doing?
I think it would be whenever I see something eye-catching or breathtaking, I stop and I take a picture because I want to capture how it felt in that moment, that it actually caught my breath and it screamed something important to me at that time. Even if it was just something as simple as that I'm still alive and somebody else isn't.
Yes.
The gratitude in that space. I also just sort of stop and reflect on the ancestral wisdom that comes from growing up in nuanced culture. That for me is sort of a cultural privilege, if you will, for lack of a better word. It has sustained me, it's kept me, it's taken me to majestic places that I could never have imagined as a child growing up during the civil rights movement in Louisville, Kentucky. And so it's just all wrapped up in gratitude. And I think it's part of sustaining wellness. I had my usual annual physical in January. And it's no secret that I've had my share of weight struggles, blah, 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 et cetera, but I've always remained in good health. But I was a little bit surprised with the move across country virtually, especially after the saying is that once you become a certain age, that you're a person of space. You want to cling to where you're at. And, my test results were all perfectly normal. There was no concern, no added medications. At my age, I'm only on 2 prescription meds, which is nothing short of phenomenal. And I'm very, very grateful for that. And I think a large part of it has to do with the fact that I am spending time in nature, that I am, my gratitude has increased since the pilot project.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. And I'm glad you mentioned taking pictures
Yeah.
because what the audience probably does not know is that that was one of the research methods. So we engaged in photography and we also engaged in photo elicitation interviewing.
Yes.
All of this is arts based. So asking them to take pictures of as many things that bring them joy, then to narrow it down to, what was it, either 3 or 5, and then talk about that photo and why. So thank you for taking pictures, because then the audience can also get that information. And anybody who's working on a dissertation and you're looking for arts-based methods, consider that to be one of them. Thank you very much, Dr. Janet.
Thank you.
Miss Gloria, something from the pilot study that you're carrying into your life now.
Before the pilot study, and those you all, they don't know me, but I'm such a natural caregiver that I was taking care of everyone but me. And after the pilot study and focusing on me, since then, I've given myself permission to take care of me, because that's what I really wasn't focused on before the pilot. Just being there, being able to open up, but get closure on some things, and just breathe, take off the cape, your study. That's what I'm doing now. I make myself just do things for me, and whether it's just take some time outside to go for a walk, things that I really didn't do before. For me, I would be doing things for everyone else.
Yes, ma'am. And I love how you said, take the cape off. We don't have to rescue anybody but ourselves.
Exactly.
Thank you so very much. Before I ask Eryn her question, I would like the audience to think of questions that they may have for Dr. Janet, Miss Gloria, or Eryn, and put it in the chat, because we have about 6 minutes left, and I want to make sure that you have a chance to ask questions. So let that go in the chat. Eryn, my question to you. You also had experience with an international exploration of optimal aging and Black womanhood. Do you see any connections between the international and what we did here in Florida?
I do. One of the largest themes I think goes along with what Dr. Janet and Miss Gloria said about really valuing yourself and taking care of yourself and stopping to appreciate those moments. One of the participants that we studied during that study was a Bristol woman of 74 years old, and she was a healthcare worker and also a lecturer in one of the local colleges. And she shared that when she was constantly working in the healthcare field, she developed that mentality that she always needed to put others first. And so when she went home, that became part of her domestic experience as well. She would do everything for her husband. And me and my research partner Gemini were cracking up after the study, because she mentioned that ultimately she realized this wasn't a healthy work-life balance and that she couldn't be everyone's everything all the time. And so she created a Declaration of Rights at home, which essentially said that if you can do it, then I'm not doing it for you anymore. And she made her husband take on his share of the domestic work. And so translating that into my life, I'm obviously not married right now, but I do realize that when I'm in clubs or trying for an internship or just out hanging out with my friends and family, that I don't have to be the one carrying everything all the time. So I think being in nature and really taking the time to reflect and be grounded and to think about the things that we do that are caused by unnecessary pressures and expectations is something that has really helped me realize there are places I can plug. So.
Thank you so very much. And we love the Declaration of Rights.
Yes.
You got an emoji, you got a thumb up, you got a heart. So we are right up against time, and we do have one question, and it comes from Rachel, and this will be our closing question. Is there anything you wish you had done differently? / tips for others who want to try these methods. So let's just, since there's a two-part question, is there anything you wish you would have done differently going into your 60s, going into your 70s? Sorry if I took some liberty, Rachel, for the sake of time. All right, Dr. Janet.
The only thing I wish I had done differently is not to be so fickle in love, if there's such a thing. I always followed my heart. I was not very strategic, and hindsight's always 20/20. But I forgive myself because I had a blast. Okay, so all things considered, absolutely nothing. I would say wish I'd taken better care of myself, but I didn't, and Grace took over, and here we are. It's all good.
And once again, we love your spunk.
Thank you.
Yes, yes, and all the loves going around. Miss
Thank you.
Gloria, anything you wish you would have done different going into 60 and beyond?
No, because all my experiences have shaped and molded me, and I've learned from those actual mistakes. So it's made me what I am today. So I would say no.
All right. Thank you so very much. Yes, and you just quick with it. I say no. Just bottom line,
Yeah.
All right,
That's
and
it.
Eryn, you get to have this closing question, and it's still very relevant about anything you wish you would have done different. Going into your first year of college, pretty soon you're about to be a sophomore. Is there anything you wish you would have done different?
Honestly, I also embrace no. If you'd asked me this question 4 months ago before we got into this project, I probably would give you a list of things that I messed up on and would need to strategize and reorganize. But I realize now I just need to give myself grace. Being Black, being a young lady, growing through life, like that is part of the journey.
Totally.
And I'm gonna say amen and ashe, because you closed us out perfectly. It is now 11:50, and I'm going to use Eryn's closing words of give yourself grace. Thank you for tuning in. My name is Dr. Chris Omni. You can find me on Instagram if you want to ask any questions. And we are recording this. Eryn is also our brand strategist, so we will have a website up pretty soon. And it is the omniinstitute.org. I'm going to put it in the chat if you want to follow along. And I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody in the chat, but by the time we get the website up, we'll have an interactive feature. So thank you for coming. Thank you, Dr. Janet. Thank you, Miss Gloria. Thank you, Eryn. Much love to everyone.
Thank
Coming
you.
in the chat here.
Thank you.